Actor's Choice, where the actors have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting through actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to the Actor's Choice. Today, we're very proud and honored to have two actors who what I call are gentlemen of the stage. Our first guest is the founder of the famed Ruskin School of Acting and the Ruskin Group Theater Company in Santa Monica, California. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Ruskin. John, welcome very much, and thank you for having us here today.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. When did you first become an actor?
Well, I was in college in University of Colorado in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
On my way to law school, I thought. My whole family had been lawyers and judges and policemen. And I literally woke up one morning on my way to the LSAT, the test to become, to go to law school.
Okay.
And I had sort of a revelation that I wasn't going to be a lawyer. And I had fallen into theater and film and acting and stuff, and I fell in love with it. And I'd never really been exposed to the arts as a life. So that day I literally said, I'm going to go to acting school and go on to become an actor, and my life changed.
So when did you eventually move from Colorado to New York?
I finished Colorado about 1983, and I had applied to a program in Yale School of Drama was taking us over to Oxford, England for a summer to train over there at Balliol College. I had applied and auditioned and gotten in. My friend at the time was the daughter of Sidney Pollack, the film director, and she said, if you're going to be an actor, let me talk to my dad because he'll have advice. So she did speak to him, put me in touch with him, and he said I had applied to Yale School for the full-time. I had applied to Juilliard and NYU, and he said, no, you go find Sanford Meisner at the Neighborhood Playhouse in New York City, and you train with him if you really want to be an actor. And I respected him deeply, so I agreed, went and applied, got in, and went straight from that summer Yale program to the Neighborhood Playhouse where I met Sanford Meisner for the first time as a student.
So you had heard about Mr. Meisner over the years?
Had not. Knew nothing about him, knew nothing about the Neighborhood Playhouse, knew nothing about anything really to do with acting. I was just going with conventional places. When he said that, it was so clear and passionate. That moment changed my life forever.
Wow.
And I'm indebted to him forever. He passed a few years ago, but he was a dear man and a great artist.
Now, he created a style, the Meisner style. Could you please tell us what that is?
He didn't call it that. He just did his work, and that work became, over the years, he started in he was in the group theater. When Konstantin Stanislavski came to this country in 1926, he went on stage, and for the first time in our country, we saw, as you know, acting to be real and authentic, human behavior instead of theatrical phony baloney. He, along with Lee Strasberg and Cheryl Crawford and Harold Clurman, Stella Adler, they all gathered. They went around and found all the great actors in town in New York, and they said, do you want to be a part of a company that would mirror what the Moscow Arts Theater had done? He agreed, and they started to get ready during the summer out in Connecticut to prepare for plays they were going to do during the winter and to use that type of work for the first time. So in 1936, which was 5 years into the group, he somehow ended up at the Neighborhood Playhouse, which was an acting school at the time. Martha Graham, the dance teacher, was one of the original teachers there before him. Okay. At that time, from 1936 till he died in 97, especially in the first 30 years, he developed what now we call Meisner Technique. He just called it his work. He wanted to find ways to reach an actor. He felt that talent was either born in you or not. You can't do anything about that. But that talent could be cultivated and brought out. And so over those years, till 1960 was really the last piece of the puzzle that he put together, which was repetition exercise. Otherwise, he had added everything up until then. That became a 2-year program where in New York, at the Neighborhood Playhouse, people like Gregory Peck and Robert Duvall and Diane Keaton and Steve McQueen and Sidney Pollack and David Mamet and all these people, they went to this program full-time, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day for 2 years. And they trained in his work. And every 2 months, a piece of that puzzle was put together. That map that he drew in terms of the training of an actor was singular and unique to the world. It was nothing like Stanislavski, nothing like Boleslavsky, nothing like Stella Adler or Lee Strasberg. It was his own work. And each piece you add, and it becomes a part of this journey into yourself. That journey for me changed my life, to be quite honest. It was the most revelatory thing that had ever happened to me. I had no idea that a class, much less an acting class, would change my life so deeply. And the qualities that it brought out of me, beyond being the best actor I could be, was that it, as a man, as a person, in every way, it opened my heart and soul to myself, others around me, my compassion, my humanity, in a way that I think a good actor or a great actor tries to. And so that was the journey. After that journey into in New York, when I first got to California in 1985, I think it was, I found out that Meisner himself was doing a program privately in Bequia in the West Indies. And I applied to that and got in with 15 other people. I went down I loved him, I loved the work, and I was enthralled with everything. So any chance to do more was exciting for me. I went down to that island in the middle of nowhere, and with those other people started to train for a month every day with him. A few weeks into that program, he called me up to his house and said, "I'd like to talk to you about being my apprentice, going back to New York City at the Neighborhood Palace and teaching." Well, I said no, and I had no idea what he was talking about. The last thing in the world I ever thought about was being a teacher. I wanted to come to Hollywood and be a movie star. So more time than you have, but he found a way to mess me up enough to make me think, wait, maybe I should come back to New York. He really pulled the number on me. And I decided to try it. I called Sidney Pollack at the time, who'd been my advice about him, and he said he had done that for 8 years, been his apprentice, and taught. So he said, you might really try it because you'll love it, and it'll give you a chance to learn about being a director, which I wanted to be in the theater, and it'll give you a chance to learn with this man that's so special. So I went back, and my whole life changed again. By 1985, 86, I was back at the Neighborhood Palace, and I was on the staff, staying with him every minute of the day whenever he was in New York, training with him and learning at the Neighborhood Palace, and then going on to teach people there. And that's how we opened our school in 1989 back out here. When I moved here, he had also moved here before he passed. 8 years later, he'd moved to California, and I started training people that way.
What were some of the acting techniques that he taught you?
Well, it's all his work. It's his Meisner technique is completely out of his own head. The beginning of it, the foundation exercise, is called repetition exercise. That exercise is really what, ironically, he brought into the technique in the 60s, even though he'd begun in the mid-30s. That exercise itself is designed to do two things. And that is to stop you from thinking, to stop the artist from thinking so much, because he says we mess ourselves up in here, and to teach you to put all your focus on the other person, your partner's behavior. Those two things only. Unfortunately, the work gets bastardized a great deal now, and it's mistaught, and people mess that up too. But that exercise itself, anything that could stop you from thinking so much and allow you to be in here, because he said you're either in your head or your heart. They're mutually exclusive. As an actor, as an artist, any artist, we want to be in our heart. But we're thinking all the time, and that kills us. So he found a way, literally, to slow this down so that you would end up feeling more. And that in itself would have been enough for him to invent. But each piece from then on, 2 months later, you begin to talk about the reality of doing, which he says the seed to the craft of acting is the reality of doing. He based his whole technique on those 3 words, reality of doing. Okay. Meaning that if an actor is in a movie and he's in bed at night waiting for his wife to come home to deliver some news that someone in their family might have been in a car crash or something, he'll teach you, and this may seem obvious to some but not to others, and this is just the beginning of something. If he sits in that bed and really reads that book, which many actors don't, they have it upside down, they're just faking, they're looking like pretending, waiting for the cue. If you really read that book, something will happen to you. You'll get involved, you'll get interested, you'll love it, you'll hate it. But when that person walks in, you won't have to fake being interrupted to say your lines. You'll literally be interrupted. And he starts off from that place, and from there says everything that we do on stage, as long as you don't hurt yourself or someone else, should be real and authentic. And you get lost in that as you practice with him for 2 years. And then the feelings and the doings become authentic on stage.
I see.
When you see Meryl Streep perform, I have no question in my mind that if you could measure her emotion, you would see the exact same Geiger counter come up as a woman in the midst of that in life, that there'd be no acting. And that's what he wants to try to get you to. And if you're a talented actor, that may happen.
You said that you feel that some people have bastardized his technique. Can you go into detail? And how you feel about that? Because you knew him. He was close to him.
Well, I feel lousy about it, actually. this work and the 2-year program changed my life more than anything I'd ever found. I trained with Stella Adler. I trained in Strasberg's working college. I trained with that Yale school over there in the summer. I trained with some wonderful places, but nothing mattered to me the way this did. Nothing for me was so revelatory as this. So I believe the work should be kept as pure as possible. There's a few of us in California and a few of us in New York that were authorized by him to teach it. Because he became so famous, people are teaching his work all over the place. Some of them reading a book or watching a video and saying that they're teachers of this. I have people coming in every day who say they learned this work. When I ask them or test them about it, nothing could be further from the truth. That's a shame, only because it doesn't matter what someone teaches. It's fine. But don't call it Meisner, because if you don't know that, I have people who leave schools, they come to me after 2-year programs, and they don't know what they're doing. I said, listen, I can't help you because I'd have to bring you back. They, I don't want to go back again. So they missed it. So they leave going, well, that was okay. But they didn't have the real work, which is a shame, because the real work is a very magical and unforgettable experience.
1986, you came back here to Los Angeles.
I did. I started to travel during the summer. I'd come out here just to visit while I was training people at the neighborhood playhouse and working with Meisner. By 1989, I decided to leave New York fully. He had promoted me, Meisner, to have my own school in New York or here. I developed it here in Santa Monica, first in Venice. Tony Bill was very generous to give us a screening room, and we began there during that summer. And as we grew, we then found space at Santa Monica Airport. And then as we did that, we grew into a few spaces in the airport. And then in 2002, we had always wanted to have a theater, a place for our graduates or our actors to be able to work when they had finished their 2-year program and they weren't on TV or film. They would have a place to come back to perform. So we opened up this nonprofit theater, the Ruskin Group Theater, and that's how we developed a place to not only perform new plays, which we've produced and developed over the years, many more than we knew, but also revivals like you just came to, which was A Raisin in the Sun.
Okay. We got a couple of pictures on the show the folks.
Oh.
Yep. Now that's Mr. Meisner?
It is. That's
Yes.
probably 1984 when we were together. Actually, I was at my grandmother's house. They were both born in 1905, and they both died in the same year in 1997, but they became friends.
Okay. Next photo, sir. There's your logo, the Ruskin School of
That
Acting.
is.
Yes. Okay. Next one. That's what it looks like. You tell.
That's the theater. We took an old hangar that had been there probably 50 years, and we renovated it and put it together piece by piece and made it into a theater, a place where we could do, that's the lobby heading in, but out of that little sort of shacky kind of a place, we've done some theater that we're deeply proud of.
Okay. Got a video for you, sir. Here's an actor that everyone is well known.
So the difference between John and everybody else is that he was there firsthand. You know, he was right alongside Sandy, and I think that he was very diligent in trying to understand what Sandy was talking about as a teacher, and as a really a great teacher, a master teacher. And I think that John, knew it was important to stick by him. It's funny because there are a lot of teachers out there teaching the Meisner Technique. And I think every single one of them says, oh, I worked with Sandy. I studied with Sandy, or, I was Sandy's protege, which, is really BS, because only a few have been. And John Ruskin certainly has been one of those. And I think the difference between John and everybody else is that he's here for the long run. It's not a fad for him. He believes in this technique. He's dedicated his life to his technique in the Ruskin School of Acting. And I think that he's here to stay. So I really believe that the difference between him and everybody else is just his dedication, really his true dedication to this technique and the purity of that, you know what I mean? Because he's getting it firsthand. It's not watered down from one person to another to another to another, or they read the acting book by Sandy. I mean, this is coming firsthand. Because who John is as a person is a very supporting, loving person. I think that it leaks into the school. I think that you come here and you feel safe. Acting is a very dangerous thing. It can be damaging to a lot of people when they first come to, if they want to become an actor. So I think when you come here, it's really a soft landing. You think when I come here and teach, I'm reminded of how beautiful acting is, because sometimes you forget. And so when I see a young actor, struggling with a scene or being great in the scene. It refreshes my memory of how much I love acting. And sometimes that gets lost in translation. So it's good to come back here as a reminder.
Okay. McDermott.
He and I met in 1983 at the Neighborhood Playhouse. He was in the second year of the program with Meisner when I was in the first, and we just hit it off right away. We became close friends within the first week or two, and we stayed that way for the past 30-some-odd years. He teaches at the school. We have a class called Scene Study with Master Teachers. The teachers are the ones that we call the masters at that point. Anthony Hopkins was my favorite actor in the world since I was a child. I thought of him as a god of acting. Gotcha. In 2000, must have been 2001 or 2002, my student was good friends with him. And she said, I keep telling Hopkins that you speak of him all the time, and you speak of his work and his scenes and how much you love him. And she said, one day he said, oh, well, what scenes, what does he say? He was intrigued. So he said, well, I'd come, I'd be willing to come say hello. So he came to the school and spoke one night. And we had an incredible evening of Hopkins sharing his life. And I realized that as he spoke, he was a teacher. So I said, would you consider it? He said, absolutely, let's do it. So he started for 1.5 to 2 years coming on Saturdays and coaching the actors that would do scenes, and he would take them through and just was an amazing, amazing teacher and, of course, actor. So that set up a condition under which we decided to bring guest actors and directors in, like Dylan and David Mamet and Ed Asner and Ed O'Neill, and this weekend was Matthew Perry coming for the first time, and many others along the line. Bruce Davison comes all the time, and journeyman actors, character actors, and some that are very known actors. And we allow them to pass on their wisdom and coach and direct the actors, and it's been an amazing honor for us to have these people come.
Okay. Let's take a look at Sir Anthony Hopkins. There he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Ron.
Thing. Are you having fun with this teaching thing? Is that something you do?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. I mean, what is it about going there on the weekend? Is Santa Monica?
Santa Monica, the airport. Yeah. There's a little group there run by John Ruskin, and Brett has been there with me.
So you've been there?
Yeah, he taught us one
teach.
He asked me to go to the class, and it was so awesome.
We had about 30, 40 people, young kids. Well,
why
not young.
do you like this?
Well, I was on the edge of becoming cynical about it all and jaded about acting and all that, And so I was invited along there and talking to young actors who are really trying their best to get into this weird business. And they get up and they do their bits and pieces, certain two-hander scenes on Tennessee Williams or Shakespeare, and they take on Shakespeare and Marlowe and Ibsen and all that. And I find it so stimulating to be with them and to open them up. And some of them don't have the talent for it, but they get up and do it anyway. And I gently try to prize them apart and open up make them relax and enjoy it.
What's fascinating to me when I watch him do it, he did it with a camera.
Yeah, really.
It's a theater class, but he took a camera and was putting it in their face and moving it around, and it was amazing.
You see them react.
Yeah, because they act differently when the camera's in their face, and he was preparing them. Because ultimately, if they were going to go out in the world of acting, they were going to do films, and it was great to see that, because you think an acting class for theater is just a stage thing, but he got the camera out and he put it in their face, and it was really exciting watching.
And it takes me back 40 years when I started the struggle one has and the anger and the angst to try and get someone. You see these young kids, and I know what they're going through, and the frustration. Some of them may never work, some of them will. And it's a tough business, and I try to encourage them and give them hope.
But it's rekindled in you the reason you wanted to be an actor and what it meant to you.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Okay, Sir Anthony Hopkins, definitely.
A dream. He was a dream. I forgot, because when you're a kid, you look up to people and you have these idols. And even before I was an actor, I thought of him as a magical actor to me. I mean, there's the greats. There's Brando and Monty Clift and James Dean, but he is definitely a world-class actor. And what was so surprising was his teaching was so beyond words. One day he showed us, he would on certain days show us his acting. He would do things that he had never done even before. And anyone who was in the room was touched forever.
Got a few more photos of some of the people, the guests that we have.
Oh,
That you
please.
have.
Well, that's Dylan.
Tell us who these are, please.
Well, that's Dylan McDermott, the fellow from my friend from the Neighborhood
That
Playhouse.
handsome young man on the right side.
Not handsome anymore.
Next one, please, sir.
That's John Colella, a wonderful actor that works with us all the time, and Maury Sterling, a beautiful actor. Both of those fellows are world-class actors who performed with us over and over in the theater. Maury just did his one-man show. He came from Edinburgh. Ed Asner in the middle is a seasoned character actor. That's just one of the lovely people we've had the opportunity to have teach.
Next one.
John Finn is a wonderful actor from New York, of theater, film, TV. Cold Case was a big show for him, and he's been with us for teaching over the years.
Mm-hmm. Next one, please.
Brenda Vaccaro is a seasoned actress from, Midnight Rush. She was up for an Academy Award back from, what was it? The movie with Johnny Voight. She's a great actress and a great teacher, too.
Okay. Next one.
Bruce Davison, one of my favorite people in the world, is a beautiful actor and beautiful teacher. He comes all the time.
Okay. Next one.
There's Paul Sands and my wife, Amy Jacobson. Paul started Second City, was the first student at 9 years old of Viola Spolin back in Chicago. He and Paul Sills started Second City, and he teaches with us. He's a very special guy.
Okay. John, since you opened the school, you have had some wonderful success. Can you talk about that, please?
Well, the success of the school, I think, has been the work, the teachings of Meisner, and then the students, I think. We are so blessed with some of the most talented, dedicated, passionate actors that I've ever worked with in my life. When I first came from New York, I was told and had thought that the quality of dedication in California would be less than New York, and that's just nonsense. I'm seeing some of the finest and most passionate actors I've ever met in my life, as much, if not more, than in New York. And we've had the blessings of working with these people who go on to do what they want in film and TV and theater, and they keep coming back to be with us and work with us. That's really one of the great gifts of our school. In terms of the theater, we had no idea that we'd last 5 minutes. When the group theater, there's a tape that we show about the group theater, they said, well, the group theater only lasted 10 years. And I heard that over and over and over, and I used to say, only 10 years for a theater, much less a nonprofit theater, in a place like California, New York, to last even a year or two or three or four or five and be able to put on shows, I thought was amazing. And that the group theater went a decade, I thought amazing. Well, we hit our decade about 4 years ago, and it was a funny feeling that we had actually been able to stay alive that long, and it was not easy. One of the hardest things I've ever done is with myself and Mike Myers, who's my partner at the theater, and school. He's a great teacher there as well. We've been together for 15 years. We laughed about the fact that we've been through hell and high water to get back to be able to keep the theater alive, because it's very hard to raise money, very hard to stay alive and do theater. You don't make money from theater, you survive. And over the years, we've been able to create, develop, and actually put on not only new plays, but plays like Rex Pickett, who wrote the novel for Sideways, was across the street one day in the Barker hangar, Judy Barker's. And one of the fellows who works with us as a producer, he said to him, have you ever thought of making Sideways into a play? The famous movie that was done by Alexander Payne. He said, no, I haven't, but let's do it. So we started to get together and have lunches, and he started to develop 160 pages down to 140 pages, down to 120, down to 90, and we put the play out, Sideways, as a play. It ran one of our biggest hits for 6 months. Wineries from all over California came to just serve wine on the weekends free. Well, that play ended up moving. Des McAnuff, who's a well-known director in New York and Canada, came, picked it up, took it to La Jolla Playhouse, $1.2 million budget, opened it, ran it. And then the play just opened on the West End of London not too long ago. Not with Des, but with someone else. And Rex Pickett's over there having a great success with it. All because we had this little thing happen at our theater. And other plays like that we've been working on, Paradise. And we had a run of El Grande de Coca-Cola that was so wonderful. This Raisin in the Sun was my dream to do. And 20 years later, we got to put it up with Starletta Dupois and Lita Gaithers-Owens to direct. And I feel like my dream came true.
You have some very special feelings about actors. Could you share that with us, please?
Well, I love them. I mean, they're my life. It's to work with people who are creative and passionate and dedicated to what they do, and bring a certain level of talent and magic to their. I mean, like, what else is there? You know, if you're a creative person and you love artists, to be in the performing arts, to get together in a room with a bunch of people that want to do something and have a dream together and then put it together and make magic happen. I watched the other night the play with my wife, and at some point, Raisin in the Sun for our 5th time or something. And at some point, my wife's seen it so many times, I felt something drop on my arm, and I looked over, and she had been weeping, and it fell onto my arm.
Oh.
Well, I'm good. That's all I needed, because it reminds me, through all the trials and tribulations of running a nonprofit theater with Mikey, it's very difficult, but when the tears hit my arm of my wife's, I thought that's why we do it, and that's what we love, and okay, I got another 14 years in me, maybe, if I live.
You brought some words. Would you share that with us, please?
Oh, those quotes you asked me about. Well,
Yes.
Bruce Davison, when he teaches, he's a favorite quote of his that I love so much, and you'd mentioned, so I thought I'd share it, which is from an Arthur Miller quotes on his essays. He said, this is kind of what reminded me the other night when my wife was with me in the theater. It said, there's a certain immortality involved in theater, not created by monuments and books, but through the knowledge an actor keeps to his dying day that on a certain afternoon in an empty and dusty theater he cast a shadow of a being that was not himself, but the distillation of all that he had ever observed, all the unsingable heart songs that the ordinary man may feel but never utter, he gave voice to, and by that he somehow joins the ages. I love that quote. Yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Though the second one you asked me about was, Meisner loved this quote, and so did my teacher, Richard Pinter, in New York at the Neighborhood Playhouse. And it was a letter that was written from Martha Graham, the great dancer and teacher and choreographer, to Agnes DeMille, the actress, that said, there's a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there's only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. If you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost. The world will not have it. It's not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable it is, nor how it compares with other expressions. It's your business to keep it yours, clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to keep open and aware directly to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. No artist is pleased. There's no satisfaction whatever at any time. There's only a queer, divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive than the others.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. It always feels like it sums up for me the magic of that. She's no artist is pleased. There's no satisfaction whatever at any time, just a queer, divine dissatisfaction. I know that.
Yeah. Got just a couple more minutes left. As you know, they're talking about shutting down Santa Monica Airport. How's that going to affect you, sir?
Well, in some ways it really won't affect us. We have our theater space there, and we hope the city is behind us to keep that alive, if not grow. We have our school spaces, which are on other areas in the Barker Hangar across the way and down there. It's an airport that's been there. The land was donated there by the federal government to stay an airport for emergencies, for any disasters, for anything going on. For that airport to close I don't think it will happen. But we love the airport, and we love the spirit of the pilots and everything that's been there. That was such a beautiful thing to be in a place. When I first got there, I had no idea that in an airport people fly and they're into flying. To be in a place where people love what they're doing, like the theater, it's another special world. It's not corporate, it's not business. Everyone moved into that area knowing that there was an airport there, so it's not really right to talk about trying to take it out now, except the house prices will go up very much. So, of course, they have invested interests. But I think it will stay that way.
Good.
Yeah.
Next place coming? What's after the...
Well, we're finishing up Raisin this weekend. We've had a sold-out, wonderful success with it. Paul Link, who's been a special friend over the years of me and Mikey Myers, he's putting on the trilogy of his plays. Time Flies When You're Alive was one of the greatest shows I'd ever seen in my life about Paul's wife passing of cancer. It's a true story. And he traveled with that all over the country. HBO picked it up and put it on TV, and it became quite a famous piece. He's now doing the third of the trilogy, which is called It's Time, directed by Ed Edwards and produced by Mikey. And we're getting ready to open that in about 3 or 4 weeks. And a very special piece to see. Paul's a very one-of-a-kind actor.
Okay. Can you give us a telephone number so anyone who wants to come to the theater?
The theater is RuskinGroupTheater.com, RuskinGroupTheater.org you can go to. 310-390-4212 is the theater. Or is that the school? I'm mixing it up. 310-397-3244. But it's all online. Tickets are online. Everything will be up online pretty soon, mentioning the theater and what's going on. We also have the Cafe Plays, which is the third Sunday of every month. 10 actors are picked, 5 writers are sitting at a cafe with a computer. They each get 2 headshots. They write a play for those actors in the next 4 hours, specifically for them. Then at 1 o'clock, the actors, the writers, and the director get to a studio. They rehearse for 6 hours, and that night they put up those plays. Every single month, third Sunday of the month for the past 14 years we've done that. It's a very special thing to watch or be a part of.
John Ruskin, thank you so much for stopping by today, sir. Thank you
pleasure.
very, very much. I'd like to get you back again, and I'll see you out at your theater.
To it.
God bless you. And give my best to Mrs., please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next guest is a veteran award-winning stage actor, play director, theater producer, private acting coach, and emerging screenwriter. He's best known as the founder, artistic director, producer, and principal actor of the multiracial, non-equity, professional, classical, and contemporary chamber theater, the Excalibur Shakespeare Company of Chicago. He has, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman has had more than 250 theater and literary act presentations around the country in 42 years of performing. It's a pleasure and an honor to please welcome Darryl Maximilian Robinson.
Oh my God! How does one survive such an introduction? Thank you, my dear Mr. Brewington.
Thank you, sir.
It is an honor to be on your program. It is certainly an honor to be on your program following so grand and great an artist as John Ruskin of the Ruskin School of Acting. He is a very important asset to the performing arts in Los Angeles, and we salute him. We salute the work that he does. We salute all of those people in the Los Angeles area that are committed to live theater, live performance, the performing arts.
Wow.
And now, sir, you may ply me with your questions.
Where did it all begin for you, sir?
I was born on the west side of Chicago in the early 1960s. And unlike Disneyland, the west side of Chicago is not the happiest place on earth. So, I started just entertaining my family.
I see.
When I was a kid, I was the class clown in school. I was somebody that desperately needed artistic expression and attention. And on the west side of Chicago, there was not a lot of funding for schools for the arts, for the performing arts in general. So ultimately, I wound up doing school plays, a junior high school play. One of my junior high school instructors, Miss Jones, wrote a play called A Black Christmas Carol. She needed someone to play Mr. Jones in A Black Christmas Carol, and she selected me because my voice was resonant and I could project. And after that, the following summer, I wrote a play called New York Detective. I wrote it, I directed it, I produced it, I kidnapped actors and made them perform in it. And this was all at the Robert H. Lawrence Upper Grade Center. And then later, I would move to senior high school. I attended both the Albert G. Lane Technical High School and the Whitney M. Young Magnet High School for the Performing Arts. And for 4 years, I was part of a group called the Chicagoland High School Theatrical Troupe. Okay. And this group was supervised by educators from the Chicago Board of Education who lost their funding to do arts programming in the public schools, but would put their own money into doing large-scale productions of musicals. Okay. And J.J. Stamm of Taft High School, Errol Perlman of Taft High School, Irving Stein of Taft High School, Lena McClin, a great choral teacher of the All-City Chorus, Gwendolyn Johnson, a great choreographer, Gerald H. Bailey, a wonderful musical conductor and composer. All of these people were teachers, board-certified teachers, who would spend their free time and invest their money taking people of all races, all backgrounds, and teaching them how to act, how to sing, how to dance. So by the time I was 14 or 15, I had been in about 7 or 8 musicals. And in 1976, when Mayor Richard J. Daley, not Richard M. Daley, the original mayor, who was the mayor of the city of Chicago, presiding over the city council, the year he passed away, I was cast as a guest male actor in an all-Catholic girls' schools production of Lerner and Lowe's My Fair Lady. And I was cast as Professor Henry Higgins. And I was performing with a multiracial cast of high school students, with a full orchestra led by John C. Sina of the Lane Tech High School Music Theater. And when you walked out on stage and you looked around that orchestra and you saw him in the pit and he had the lighted baton looking at you, you didn't miss a lyric, you didn't miss a beat, you didn't miss a single note, because you knew that the man with the lighted baton was going to come backstage during intermission and let you have it. So I started off as a song and dance man and as a comedian.
Okay.
And then I decided I was going to get serious about acting, and I fell in love with the language of William Shakespeare.
My goodness. Now, people can't see you. They don't realize you are 6 what?
I am 6'4".
6'4".
I am 6'4" and 3/4 inches tall. I am the tallest black actor in Los Angeles who can do Shakespeare, sing and dance, and do an imitation of Marlon Brando like nobody's business. I'm so honored to be here. You know, Mr. Brewington, it's not every day that someone gets a chance to appear with such illustrious people. But you brought me here. You didn't invite me to your daughter's wedding. But I accept this. I'm glad to be here.
My daughter got married?
But I'm thrilled to be here.
Now, when I went through your bio, it said born and raised and reared in the, quote, theater of the Windy City. What is that?
In the old days, the west side of Chicago, and Chicago was called the west side of Chicago,
right,
and Chicago. But nowadays, Chicago is called Chirac.
Yeah.
So it's the theater of war that we must acknowledge. There is violence on the west side of Chicago. There is ignorance, and there is a lack of education and opportunity. But there are people there who still have a tenacity and an energy and a desire to make the arts happen. And so from time to time, when I was growing up, I would run into people who would direct me to where I needed to go to get the help I needed. They knew I was going to be a performer. They knew that I was going to be a writer. They knew that I was going to have something to do with the entertainment industry. And so I have to thank my junior and senior high school educators. I have to thank the people in the Chicago Park District system who gave me a room to rehearse or perform. And I have to thank the people that with the City of Chicago's Department of Cultural Affairs, where in the City of Chicago, if you are a performing artist, you can get grant money. You would have to fund something, but eventually you would get that money back because the city wants to promote the arts. The City of Chicago wants to promote dance, music, drama, literature. I was reading Shakespeare by the time I was 9 years old. You do look, my son, in a moved sort, as if you were dismayed. Be cheerful, sir. Our revels now are ended. These are actors, as I foretold you, were but spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, yea, the great globe itself, all which it inherit shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a rack behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made of. Wow. And our little life is rounded with a sleep. Now you may applaud. And that is the theater.
Beautiful, beautiful.
With a capital T in the and a capital T in theater. Darryl Maximilian Robinson is from the theater,
right,
not from television or film. I'm not like Donald Trump. I'm not going to be on a reality show anytime soon. God bless his soul. He's going to be so heartbroken when he loses. Let's go on.
Max, what's it like being an actor like what you do? You love what you do.
You have to be passionate about what you do. You have to care about people. You have to care about literature. You have to care about the stories that you're going to tell, and you have to remember something. The way you talk, the way you express yourself matters to people. It affects how they will interact with you. When one becomes an actor, one becomes one of the greatest communicators on earth. You are a public spokesperson. You are an ambassador. You are a teacher. You are an influence in the world of someone that you come in contact with. And so it's one of the greatest responsibilities in the world when you choose to do the works of great poets, the works of great composers, the works of great writers of any kind. And I have been blessed, and you are right. It took about 42 years to put in 250 shows on the rack, but it got done. And I have to thank the people from the Chicagoland High School Theatrical Troupe. I have to thank the people who operated the Enchanted Hills Playhouse in northern Indiana, producer Jill Stover, artistic director Dr. Jeffrey Cope. I have to thank the professors in universities, Dr. James Baruchak, who directed me in Othello, Dr. Thomas Hitchell, who directed me as Vinticello II and Peter Schaeffer's Amadeus. I have to thank not just the living people, but I also have to thank William Shakespeare. I have to thank Edward Albee, who just passed away. I have to thank Gene Wilder, who just passed away. We have lost so many great artists who've contributed their energy, their wit, their drama, their humor to our world. I'm just thrilled to still be alive to tell the tale. I'm so glad to have me here today, Rob.
It's a pleasure to have you. Did you see the Emmys last night?
I did not. Who won?
The O.J. Simpson movie walked away with a lot of.
Did Cuba get nominated?
He got nominated. Unfortunately, he didn't win.
Oh.
The person who played Johnny Cochran, what's his name? He got not Vance. The guy who played Johnny Cochran.
He won.
He won. And the lady who played the female prosecutor.
Clark, the one that played Clark?
Yeah, she won.
So the lawyers won and O.J. wound up empty again.
He did. But he was nominated.
But he was nominated.
I've seen a lot of changes in the Emmy Awards over the years as it pertains to black actors. So I'm very happy to see even more and more actors. Regina King got her second consecutive Emmy Award.
So she got one.
She got one, yes.
There we go.
It was very good to see. And a bunch of actors were out there last night. It was really a good show. It's always good to see actors on TV. Speaking of actors on TV, we'd like to show a short video of you when you are doing you played the butler at the Glendale Center Theater. This is recently.
This was a few years ago.
Yeah, it's recent.
But it was recent.
Did you get the worst of it again?
Sure did.
Was your father did it to you?
No.
Your brother Tony?
No.
Don't tell me.
Cordelia.
Try not to smash the candelabra as you pass it.
Where'd I put it?
Down. Right there.
2104 Walnut, eh? Say, is that a picture of the old man?
Young fellow, what is your name?
Mancuso?
Look here, Mancuso. Nobody refers to Mr. Biddle as the old man. I can tell you that.
Is it true that Mr. Biddle spars with Philadelphia Jack O'Brien?
Young fellow, do you ask these questions in every home you go to?
Hey, Mr. Biddle wouldn't like you to talk to me like that. I'm a member of the Drexel Biddle Bible classes.
Young man, if you're going to just stand there anyway, haul these crates into the conservatory.
Be glad to.
And open them up.
Oh, no, sir. Not me.
Very well, then. Give me a hand.
It must be a big one.
Hey, what's all the yelling about?
You better get it off his back, it'll suffocate.
Oh, say, Paul's gonna be happy about this. Emma.
Happening time out. Goodness. My arm's sore already.
Well, you're just not in condition, Mother. It's a wonderful workout.
Excellent work, man. You keep going.
That is from the lovely Glendale Center Theater production of Kyle Critchen's The Happiest Millionaire, directed by the late, great, wonderful character actor and comedian Mario Di Gregorio, and it's just a great house to work in because it is a 340 to 360 seat theater in the round. So no matter where you turn, there are audience members.
Similar to what the Ruskin Theater is like.
Correct.
It's very similar, yes.
And I have had the pleasure of playing the Ghost of Christmas Present in A Christmas Carol at that same theater. I've had the pleasure of playing the Reverend Sykes in Christopher Sergel's adaptation of Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird in that same theater. There are many fine theaters in Los Angeles. And I think your previous guest, Mr. Ruskin, hit upon this. The theater actors in L.A. are a lot better than we are given credit for. Well, we are. Yes. And it's because everyone assumes that when you come to L.A., you're rushing to get on television. Right. You're rushing to get on screen. And there are actually some people in Los Angeles that are trying to do quality theater. And at this point, I'd like to mention...
Please.
Backstage Magazine is the Bible for auditioning in Los Angeles. Yes. Backstage Magazine is going to tell you where you audition for plays in L.A., where you audition for films in L.A., where you audition for music videos in L.A. And this particular issue, the April 28th, 2016 issue, is particularly good if you can go online and look it up, because on page 11, there is a lovely article called I Got Cast, and it features yours truly getting cast as Ernest in Tad Mosel's Impromptu, which was part of a production at the lovely Lincoln Stegman Theater. And the group that I did that show with was called the Emmanuel Lutheran Actors Theater Ensemble, Elate. The show was directed by Jeff Zimmer, and you mentioned Emmys. Jeff Zimmer is a multiple Emmy-nominated television producer. He is responsible for shows called The Doctors and America's Funniest Home Videos. He is a great lover of situation comedy, and Tad Mosel's Impromptu, which is about 4 actors summoned on stage by a mysterious stage manager to improvise a play, was part of an evening of 4 one-acts called Just for Fun. And as a result of that one act, that 30 minutes that I spent on stage for Jeff Zimmer, I got a 2015-2016 Elate Season Ticket Holder Award nomination for Best Actor for that performance. And I'll tell you something, the last time I was nominated for Best Actor was 1997. So I was very, very glad. Now, I lost. I didn't win. Yeah. I'll be all right. But I'm in the game, and I'm very, very glad to be in the game, and I feel blessed about that.
Gotcha. Why didn't you have you ever done any television or film, anything at all?
I have been an extra in certain things. Yes. I've appeared in a few things, but I have never played a principal role in television or film. I'm looking forward to doing it. I'm looking forward to finding an agent and getting some work. I'm looking forward to doing it. But I've played the King of England.
Yes.
I've played the Lord Chancellor of England. I played the Mikado of Japan. I played the King of Siam. Why would I want to now go and do something else? There's some roles I just don't want to play.
Well, you know you got to audition. You know they got.
Yes, I don't mind that. That is the reason why I love this show, because this show gives us an opportunity to give a commentary, show our personality, and maybe someone will look at the show and go, you know, maybe let's throw the old stage dog a bone and see if he bites down on it or not. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to working in television and film. And one of the reasons why I am here today is so that I can move forward towards working in television.
We sure hope that someone will see you and grab you, because there's a lot of talent sitting right there. I'm very honored to have you here today.
I am delighted to be here. I am thrilled to be here. I need to say something. My mother is Mrs. Dorothy May Sewell White Robinson. She resides on the west side of Chicago right now, and she has not been in the best of health. So I want to say hello to my mother. I love you. I haven't forgotten that I'm going to buy you a house if I ever make that $1 million out here in Los Angeles. Just hang on. I know you're 76 years old, but hang on. I love you. And give my best to my brothers, give my best to my sister, give my best to my family in New York. New York, one of these days I'll get to you, New York. Next question.
You actors are something else. Sometimes it's hard to know when you're acting or for real.
Well, my family knows when I'm being real, so that's a blessing.
Yeah, I understand. It's just
I have to say hello, Mrs. Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson.
Yes, but actors, I love the way that you guys and ladies can do what you do. You really do a fabulous job. And describe the first time you got up on a stage. What was it like?
When I did A Black Christmas Carol in December of 1973, there was a scene where Mr. Jones comes home and he has to explain to his family that he just lost his teaching job.
I see.
And one of his children, his oldest son, who was Tiny Tim in this black version of of Black Christmas Carol is Tiny Tim, is supposed to get into an argument with him, and I'm supposed to just kind of shove him.
Okay.
But I accidentally smacked him upside his head, and his hat flew off of his head and out into the audience.
Okay.
And these are junior high school kids, so needless to say, they roared.
I'm sure they did.
They roared.
Yes.
And when the play was over, the first performance was over, Miss Jones, the playwright, director, came up to me and she goes, "Leave it in." Leave that, whatever that was, that bit was you just did, leave it in. And I knew that I could get a response out of an audience, and I was terrified. I did have stage fright. But what you have to do when you're dealing with stage fright is you're converting it. You convert that nervous energy from stage fright onto what you have to do on stage, what you have to do in the scene, what you have to do, what is your focus, what are your choices going to be. I have to say something else to actors, and incidentally, this is, I'll show you one other thing. This program is from a show called The Green Pastures. It's a program from the Illinois Theater. This play won the Pulitzer Prize in 1930. This program is 85 years old.
Wow.
And the black gentleman that played the Lord in The Green Pastures was a gentleman by the name of Harrison. I believe his name was Harrison. And he was one of the first black actors to play a leading role on Broadway. And when this play became a hit in New York and won the Pulitzer Prize in 1930 for Mark Connolly, it went across the country and came to the city of Chicago. And one of the reasons why I have this 85-year-old program, and I'll show you how old it is by showing you the photograph of the lady's attire on the back of this 85-year-old program, is that what actors have to do, and what actors and directors and playwrights have to learn to do, is document their work. Keep copies of your pictures. Keep copies of your video. Keep copies of your scripts. Keep copies of your notes. Because at some point later on in life, you may be asked, as Mr. Ruskin was, to become a teacher. You may be asked at some point later on in life to contribute to a collection that proves that something important happened at a certain time in history.
Yes.
Your documents are important.
Good advice. Good advice. You brought another book with you, sir.
Yes. This book is completely out of print right now, but you can get it on Amazon, and most of the major African-American bookstores around the country have it. This book is called Shakespeare in Sable. It is by a professor from Dartmouth University, an African-American, or actually African-Caribbean professor by the name of Errol Hill. And what this book is, and this is a picture, incidentally, of the great 19th century African-American Shakespearean actor Ira Aldridge. What this book is a history of all of the great black actors and actresses who chose to go the path of classical acting, even though a lot of them wound up being disappointed. A lot of them never got to play major roles. But some of the people who did get to play major roles appear very late in the book. And one of the more amazing things about this particular book is you learn about Ira Aldridge, but you also learn about Paul Robeson, who played Othello in 1930 in London. And it would take 12 years before white producers in America would give him a chance to do it on Broadway in 1942. You learn how Joseph Papp, in the late 1950s, starts giving African-American actors a chance to play leading Shakespearean roles. Roscoe Lee Brown is mentioned in this book. Morgan Freeman is mentioned in this book. And of course, and I'm trying to find the picture, the granddaddy of all granddaddy black Shakespearean actors, James Earl Jones, is in this book. When I was about 12 or 13 years old, there was an all-black cast of King Lear done in New York, produced by Joseph Papp. James Earl Jones was playing King Lear with Rosalind Cash and a few other wonderful black actresses as his daughter, and they showed it on PBS. This was like 1972 or 73, somewhere in there, when they showed that all-black cast of King Lear with James Earl Jones as Leon. This is young James Earl Jones. This is not older James Earl Jones. This is James Earl Jones a couple of years after he won the Tony for The Great White Hope. So when I saw him, I was like, that's who I want to be. Someday, that's who I'm going to be.
Well, we got another video of your career showing some of the work that you've done. This is when you play the role of Major General Stanley.
Ah.
Model of a modern Major General, life, information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England, and I hope the fight's historical, from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I'm very well acquainted too with matters mathematical. I understand equations, both the simple and quadratical. But by no neo theorem, I'm teeming with a lot of news. Lot of news. Challenging word. Hello. How are you? Do you have any idea what might possibly rhyme with lot of news? It's quite all right. After all, you're not being paid to be here. And I've got it with many triple facts about the square of the hypotenuse. With many triple facts about the square of the hypotenuse. With many triple facts about the square of the hypotenuse. With many triple facts about the square of the hypotenuse. I'm very good with integral and differential calculus. I know the scientific names of beings and immaculous. In short, it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. I am the very model of a modern Major General. In short, it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. He is the very model of a modern Major General. I know our mythic history, King Arthur's and some Caradox. I am Sahara acrostics, I have a pretty taste for paradox. I wrote in ill Egypt, all the crimes of Heliogabalus. In conics I can draw peculiarities fabulous. I can tell undoubted Raphael from Jared Downs and Orphanes. I know the croaky chorus from the frogs of Aristophanes. Then I can hum a fugue of which I've heard the music's dinner for. Dinner for.
Wow, my goodness, you can sing, you can act, you're beautiful, my brother.
I spent a few years in about 50 musicals, and one musical has brought me here today.
And that is?
I have the honor right now of playing one of the most famous people in the history of show business. The director, the producer, the impresario extraordinaire, Florenz Ziegfeld Jr., in the new Conundrum Theater Company production of Funny Girl.
Hold that thought, because we want to show some pictures real quick.
All right, go right
ahead. And we'll talk about that one. Could you go run that once, please? Thank you, sir.
That is my cast of Impromptu. That is the lovely Casey Kubernier as Winifred, that I have my arms around. That's Joey Trezise as Tony. And that is Miss Lucy Kubernier, a dynamite young actress who won the late season ticket holder award for Best Supporting Actress for her performance in Tad Mosel's Impromptu. I love that play. Those are my girls from the Pirates of Penzance. Michelle Reese, the lovely Jennifer Sperry, and that is Kelsey Bullock, all playing my daughters. I'm Major General Stanley in that picture from Gilbert and Sullivan's The Pirates of Penzance. That is me in my first LA-nominated stage role. I got a 2013 Markham Mask Theater Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for playing the great black educator and orator Booker T. Washington in the musical Ragtime at the Westchester Playhouse in Los Angeles. That is my second nominated role, and I am playing a 1940s radio actor by the name of Harry Jasbo Hayworth, but that same radio actor will turn into a variety of different characters, including the character of Clarence Oddbody, Angel Second Class, and It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play, which was also presented at the Westchester Playhouse. That is me as Major General Stanley, opposite Fabio Dinino as the Sergeant of Police in the Pirates of Penzance. And that is the show poster for the Pirates of Penzance. And that is me as the narrator and the mysterious man in the 2014 Burbank Community Theater production of Into the Woods at the Hall of Liberty at Forest Lawn. And that is me with members of the cast of Into the Woods, Jack, Milky White, the cow, and Jack's mother in Into the Woods. And there we have it. The Conundrum Theater Company's production of Funny Girl, the musical, with music by Julie Stein, lyrics by Bob Merrill, book by Isabel Leonard, is going to be staged October the 14th through October the 16th at the historic Rialto Theater at 1023 Fair Oaks Avenue in South Pasadena, California.
How we get tickets?
You would go to Conundrum Theater Co., ConundrumTheaterCompany.com. You could go to their Facebook page, or you can go straight to their regular webpage, ConundrumTheaterCo.com. And the show is being wonderfully directed by Brian Snodgrass, wonderfully staged with the musical numbers by Tony Fuller, and we have a fantastic conductor. Ryan Lovano is going to be leading a 22-piece live orchestra for the show, and he was my conductor for Into the Woods, and he knows how to lead a band. I'm scared of his baton, too.
Darryl, we got to get out of here, but man, thank you so much for stopping by today. We had a great show today. I want to thank you, and special thanks to John Ruskin.
Yes, indeed.
Definitely. And we got to get you back again. You are really, and good luck. We'll see if I can get some tickets up there myself. I want to say one thing, and for you, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time.